Hello ladies and gents, hope you're all well. This is a picture of the Twinings Tea shop on the Strand, which I took in December 2023. You can see it with its Christmas decorations up. It's taken me from then till the other day to kindly get a permission visit to go inside the shop and film. A massive thank you to the team at Twinings for allowing this, and for also showing me around, telling me about the history and letting me try some of the teas. All I can say to you ladies and gents is that I really recommend this place. No matter what walk of life you're from, and I'm a Cockney, so you go in there and you're made to feel very welcome. It's a really lovely environment, and I also purchased some tea as well, so I can only recommend this place heartily enough. So a massive thank you to Twinings. Firstly, what we're going to get is the history of tea, a little brief history of that, China tea trade, a history of the foundation of the starting of this establishment through Thomas Twining, and then after that you'll join me for a nice tour of inside the shop, and then at the very end of the video you'll join me for back at home for a nice cup of Twinings tea where I sample the product. So off we go. The history of tea goes back to at least 2,000 years, with many myths and legends about the origins of tea, steeped into storytelling. One of the best known legends about its origins dates back to 237 BC, when it is said that Chinese Emperor Sheng Nung accidentally discovered the drink when leaves from a nearby tree fell into a pot of boiling water during a picnic. However, its first real evidence of tea drinking comes from China's Yunnan province in the year 350 AD. Over the centuries that followed, China developed different methods for cultivating tea and developed different types of green, black and white tea, which became China's national drink. And by the first millennium, the Chinese tea house had become a focal point of Chinese social life. Tea arrives in Europe circa 1606. When tea was introduced to Europe, when the Dutch established their trading port in the island of Java, Indonesia, and sent their first cargo of tea by sea to Amsterdam in 1606, tea quickly became popular amongst the upper classes, including in Portugal, where Catherine of Braganza grew up. When she married King Charles II of England in 1662, Catherine's father, King John IV of Portugal, provided a dowry of luxury goods, including a chest of tea, which had become the favourite drink of the Portuguese royal family and court. Following Catherine's arrival, it wasn't long before tea became fashionable in the drawing rooms of the wealthier classes and the court of England. As well as the chest of tea, her sizable dowry was the Portuguese colony of Bom Bahia, Mambai, on the western coast of India. King Charles II agreed to transfer control of the Mambai to the East India Company, and it soon became its base. (1684), and here you see a photo I took of the man himself, Thomas Twining, the founder of the company. Twinings begins. The Twining family originate from Gloucestershire, where they held occupations as weavers and fulling millers. Despite their close ties with the countryside over many centuries, recession drove the family into London in 1684. 9-year-old Thomas Twining, who would become the founder of the tea business, went with them. In London, he initially followed in his father's footsteps by taking up an apprenticeship with a London weaver. Attaining a trade was essential to becoming a freeman of the City of London in those days, the key to any future business career. The ambitious young Thomas Twining became a freeman in 1701, and at the age of 26. By that time, he had turned his back on weaving and was learning a new trade, working for a wealthy merchant and handling some of the early shipments of tea. Thomas spent the next 5 years learning about this new trade, and as the popularity of tea grew, he was fascinated by the business opportunities it offered. The Golden Lion, which is the main real emblem above the shop. Here's our earliest photograph showing the tea shop. We just saw it in 1810, but here's our earliest one. 1717, the Golden Lion. Selling tea had become so popular that by 1717, Thomas Twining, who had already founded this premises in 1707, had acquired 2 adjacent houses, enabling him to convert one into a shop specifically for handcrafted and blended teas alongside the coffee house. Convention meant it was still not acceptable for ladies to enter coffee houses, but it was acceptable to shop. In opening up this shop, Thomas was now able to sell his high quality tea directly to his wealthy female customers, for whom drinking tea at home had become very fashionable. Thomas adorned the shop entrance with a golden painted lion, regal in nature and radiating class. The Golden Lion Tea and Coffee House was born. This was probably the world's first dry tea and coffee shop. The same building is now number 216, The Strand, the famous Twinings shop that still exists today. And here we see a depiction of the entrance to the shop in around 1900, and you see what I mean here, that it really has not changed at all. And this is an early motorised vehicle as well for 1900, so Twinings were up to date with what they did. A lovely drawing from the early 20th century showing the Twinings entrance. And as we will see in my tour, the interior of the shop is very different now. It's modernised. These racks of shelves aren't like this anymore. It is very modern. And if you look up on the walls in my tour, you won't see all of these pictures, which these were Twining, members of the Twinings family. But this is how the shop looked and what you could have seen through the 1980s and 90s, which these images depict. And these artifacts here are not on display anymore as well, so I thought I'd like to show this. And as I say, all the pictures that are up on the wall, these are different members of the Twinings family. And now there is only one portrait up on the wall, which is of the founder himself, Thomas Twining. I'd like to show this as a little artifact, an online image that I found, public domain, and it is a tin of Twinings coffee from 1924. And this Twinings tricycle, pardon me, sorry, in the London Transport Museum, which is R. Twining and Co. Limited, early 20th century. I thought it was another nice thing to show. And now for our tour of the Twinings shop itself. So ladies and gents, join me on the Strand, where we kindly are allowed to go into the shop to film, have a look around, and I even purchased some tea, which I shall sample at the end of this video. So join me for the tour. Good afternoon ladies and gents, and you join me on the Strand, the church of St Clement Danes. I get them mixed up sometimes because there's Clement Danes and St Mary le Strand. The Royal Courts of Justice. Would not wish to be on the receiving end of that one, but where we are going today is into the Twinings tea shop, which is just over there. Twinings, this shop was established and has been trading on the same spot since 1706 by Thomas Twining. And if you look at this beautiful motif above the door, that dates from 1786 and is original, and it represents the lion for Lion's Tea House, which was the original foundation of this place, and the Chinaman, where the tea originally came from. And if you see above the door there, you have the royal warrant by appointment to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. they're waiting for that to be updated. Yeah, you're going to join me for a tour of inside this one, and then once we finish touring this lovely establishment, we shall go around the back of it and see where the original one was. So, zoom you back out, pause you, and in we shall go. Twinings. There's its motif just above the door there. Absolutely beautiful. And its original tiles from its Edwardian and Victorian days. So ladies and gents, join me inside the Twinings Tea shop. The House of Twinings was founded in 1706 by Thomas Twining, who purchased Tom's Coffee House at the back of this site, where he introduced tea. In 1717 he opened the Golden Lion, selling dry tea and coffee. Twinings is believed to be the oldest company to have traded continually on the same site. Sorry, beg your pardon, sorry. Continually on the same site since its foundation. The story of Earl Grey, a journey to the east during the diplomatic mission to China. One of Prime Minister Charles Grey's British envoys heroically saved the life of a Chinese mandarin. As a token of thanks, the gift of tea was given alongside the recipe to produce it or reproduce it. It was usually a well-guarded secret. The envoy took the gift back to England and presented it to Grey. And an icon is born. The new tea became so popular with Grey and his associates, he asked to be reproduced and sell it for others to enjoy. This blend became known as Earl Grey, the only genuine Earl Grey, while many other tea brands claim to have made the first ever Earl Grey blend. In 2011, Philip Kent Grey, the current 7th Earl Grey, officially endorsed us as the inventor. Sorry. This is interesting, look, because it's got the history here. So do pause to read each one. I am photographing these as I go along as well, so there'll be photos for you to read these. Obviously it's a busy trading establishment, so, and they very kindly allowed me to come in and do this, which is decent of them. St Mary le Strand Church, look, in the Strand, St Clement Danes. This shop still has the royal warrant from the previous Queen, and they're waiting for an update for a warrant from the current incumbent, shall we say. Here you see the shop how it was years ago inside. The London edition, look, Earl Grey. These are the flavoured ones, these. London Strand, Earl Grey. That sounds nice. I'm going to buy myself a pot of this because I do absolutely love leaf tea. Now, this is the interactive sourced with care. If you put one of these cards in this device, it will tell you about it.
Vedi qua questo per lì che è questa con la mangia che no, non è troppo forte. Questa è una bustine. Portata no. Ma che è quello che non fa vedere dann hat sie die Schluss gemacht und dann hat sie sich wieder gedacht, das wird nicht nichts mehr. Ja, keine Ahnung. Die nicht so. Da kann man nicht sehr dann auch raus. Sicher ist. Nein, das ist egal. Ho paura che la latte mi rompa. Lasciamo perdere.
And here he is, the man himself, Thomas Twining. Thomas Twining, 1675 to 1741, the original master blender. Without Thomas Twining and his skill for blending tea, we wouldn't be here today. This portrait was painted by William Hogarth in the 1700s. According to family legend, William was a loyal customer at the Golden Lion, but as a young artist, he didn't have the funds to pay for his tab. So a deal was struck. In order to clear his bill, William would paint Thomas's portrait for all to see and enjoy. The blenders. Pause to read or see the photographs.
My proudest achievement was creating a blend to celebrate Her Majesty the Queen's Diamond Jubilee back in 2012. Partly I found it because it was created to mark that very special occasion, but also it has stood the test of time and is still available today. My favourite tea fact is, to the best of my knowledge, that there is no genetic modification in tea. It is still a wonderful, natural drink. Unsurprisingly, I joined Twinings as quite a young man back in 1985 and have had the privilege of working in many departments within the company. The most exciting period was working with the master tea tasters to hone my skills as a tea taster. My favourite cup of tea, regardless of what flavour it is taken with family and old friends to relax and have a good old chill. At Twinings, we have access to a very broad palette of teas, all with fabulous taste nuances that come together to create fabulous tasting teas. My proudest achievement was creating a blend to celebrate Her Majesty the Queen.
My greatest passion is a love tea blending, which is an art of balance to bring out the best part of the tea character for different origin tea. As a master blender at Twinings, what I love the most is I could taste and blend a diversified flavor of tea from different origins and seasons. It entails years of knowledge and expertise in tea tasting and blending. My favorite tea is Golden Rose Heart. I particularly
You've got well-being there. I drank lavender flavoured tea once. I can't recommend it, but at that price I drank every drop.
That's the one time.
The tea bar over there where you can go and taste tea and buy products and things like that. Hiya. Ladies and gents, I hope you all enjoyed this one and its history. I shall now go and get my tea, which I've been recommended already, which is this one, London Strand. So, I hope you all enjoyed, and I'll let you know what this is like. I hope you all enjoyed that one, ladies and gents. That's our tour of the current day Twinings, and now I'll have to point you up a minute because there are quite a few people about. This is the George we're looking at. Looks very old, not built in the 1920s or reconstructed in the 1920s. Sorry. And off we go down this alleyway from one piece of history to another. The site of the original Lions Tea House, which is around here. And then after that I take you on to another beautiful piece of history. London's alleys and side streets. You get your Spanish lessons in here. Spanish language courses starting now. Devereux Court we're on. Westminster, C2, City of Westminster. And here, destroyed in the war, the original building, and then reconstructed afterwards, is Devereux Court. The House of Twinings was founded on this site in the year 1706. The building was destroyed by enemy action on the 11th of January 1941 and rebuilt in 1952. Rebuilt under the direction of the architects Walker Harwood and Cranswick. FFARIBAAMTPI, that's all their titles and such like, by Trollope and Coles Limited. So you've seen the original tea shop, well, the original sales shop around the front, and now you've seen this where it was the House of Twinings. Some lovely old buildings in London and around about these parts. Just point you down. This one point you up. That's called the Devereux, obviously, because we're at Devereux Court, named after. New Court and the Temple we're going to now, or towards anyway. I'll take you to another lovely piece of London history. This is Devereux Chambers, and over here, won't you this way a sec. Old undamaged parts of London that the Twinings would well have recognised, and their customers, of course. Oh, it smells of gas here. Really strong. Gas. There we are. Thought I'd end us off with something nice. Of course, it's not tea related, but it is nice nonetheless. In October 1976, this fountain was presented by Adrian Uziel Hamilton in memory of her father, Marcus Grantham, a member of the Middle Temple who died on 26th of May 1975. Middle Temple Hall. Beautiful building in its own right. There's another plaque around here. Brilliantly, the temple fountain sparkled in the sun, and laughingly its liquid music played, and merrily the idle drops of water danced and danced, and peeping out in sport among the trees, ploughed lightly down to hide themselves. Martin Chuzzlewit's Charles Dickens. You have Middle Temple Hall, which I will have to check because it is sometimes open to the public, but not always. And it's got its not open to the public sign up today. But the inside of it, the hall, is said to be spectacular because you can see the stained glass from out here, look. It's said to be a real feast for the eyes. So I will check its open days and see when its open days are. It's a beautiful building, as you can see, look. It's a shame they don't build like this anymore, really. I mean, as you know me, I prefer old and archaic architecture. Go back to the fountain, go this way. I'll show you the side of the hall first. You can go down to Temple Gardens and all this business down there if you go that way and see the Thames. The Victoria Embankment is literally right in front of us, just where you see the traffic flitting through, if you see the traffic flitting through, yeah. That's Victoria Embankment and the Thames. Hope you've all enjoyed and found this one interesting. And this beautiful old tree, which is held up by props as well, is another thing that people like to come and see. Fountain Court we're on at the moment, of course, because it has a fountain and it is a courtyard. Shame there's nothing written about the tree or marking it to say how old it is, but there we are. Can't have everything, can we? Anyway, hope you all enjoyed the little tour into Twinings and the little tour into this piece of medieval and Tudor history. Thanks very much for watching. Hope you all enjoyed the tour of the wonderful old Twinings shop. Now here's a detail of a Twinings wrapper from 1765, a lovely old survival. Another Twinings wrapper slash advertisement from 1789 this time, and you can see the address of course has not changed in all that time. Over its long career, interesting life as well, Twinings has had some very famous customers. Amongst some of them are, of course, Dr. Johnson, who we see here, who was an ardent and shameless tea drinker in his own words. And here we see a caricature image of the time from Dr. Johnson drinking tea or taking tea. Jane Austen, another customer of Twinings. Queen Victoria, who you see here taking tea in the garden with her family. And most recently, the late Queen, from where the shop gets its most recent royal warrant above the door. So those are just some of the many customers, the famous ones that it's had over the years. And now for our own little tea tasting. Hello ladies and gents, hope you're all well. And now for our tea tasting. Here is the product itself. London Strand Earl Grey. And here is the product. Something that not lots of us, including myself, are used to seeing that much these days is loose tea, in the age of tea bags and everything else. Here is my Twinings tea strainer, and we shall now be trying the product. So I'll pop you down on the side, pour myself a cup of tea, and we'll see. Tea leaves. I shall save those for the gypsy princesses. I've already discreetly added my 175,000 sugars, now I have 3. And the ceremony of taking tea, as it was called in the old days, when it originally took off, you could at times become a social outcast for doing it or performing it in the wrong way. There was a whole lot of rules and social norms and things associated with tea taking in those days. So I shall let this cool down and then you all will join me and we'll see what it's like. Ooh, that is nice. Very nice indeed. Oh, I should be buying more of that. That's really nice. and I can't recommend both shop and tea heartily enough. Hope you all enjoyed, and I'll see you all soon.